Hello everyone, this is Jeremy Caverley with JMC Live. We are having an exclusive interview with the president of Redeemer Wear Apparel Company. Mike is with us via telephone today. We are doing a early interview, pre-recording, so that we can work together with Mike. Since he's one of our ministry partners, we support what he does. And Mike, I just want to go ahead and give the mic over to you. And you just start talking about who you are and what Redeemer Wear is, and we'll just go from there, buddy.
All right, sounds good. Well, Redeemer Wear started back in August of 2007. It's kind of a fluke how the company started, actually. It was started the business roughly about 3 years after my wife and I had lost our son. And we went through about three and a half years of a rather severe depression, and pretty much all of the little sketches I had done during the depression ended up becoming the original basis for what eventually became Redeemer Wear.
Okay. So you started your clothing line based on a tragedy that occurred in your life, which I know you have a hard time talking about that, so I'm not going to get too in-depth on that.
I appreciate it.
But I can tell that experience brought you closer to Christ, and God must have told you that, now's the time for you to move forward with your clothing. So what have you done in the last couple of years since God's given you this vision for clothes, and how are you supposed to reach people with them? You still there with us, Mike?
Yeah, I think my signal's getting a little bit choppy here.
Oh, okay.
No, over the past couple of years, it's just pretty much feeling it out and testing different things, seeing what works, what doesn't work. Unfortunately, we've made more bad financial decisions than good ones, but slowly but surely the Lord's allowing us to recover from it. But right now we're just in the process of trying to find sponsors and bands that are willing to lend an endorsement until Redeemer Wear can really get up on its feet and get rolling.
So who are some of the bands that you've already talked to that have actually come forward? And I know there's possibly like a couple of bands that have honestly said they support Redeemer Wear. Are you actually able to say their band name? Or are you still in the works on those?
I'd rather not give their names right up just in case.
Okay.
And some legality or something pops up, and I really don't want to have them committed to it if it's not where they really want to be.
Yeah. But I knew that you were talking about looking at getting some video cameras and going out to concerts and starting, like doing your own little behind the scenes of how these bands are working. I wanted you to explain to our listeners what type of music are you trying to get connected to, and what kind of person do you think would be wearing Redeemer Wear?
Well, right off the bat, you did mention about the video cameras and all. We have just recently launched our new YouTube channel specifically for the purpose of heavy metal Christian ministry. You can check that at youtube.com/metalminister777. It's still in the setup phases right now, but it's more for the ministry side of Redeemer Wear. Originally, what it was intended to be was a ministry to the people that a lot of the churches often won't go to.
Yeah.
So a lot of those kids at the heavy metal concerts. So we primarily concentrate on trying to recruit Christian heavy metal acts to see if we can't get their support for Redeemer Wear, because they're pretty much on the same mission that we're on.
And I also know that you have a life outside of Redeemer Wear. You're like you work at a restaurant.
Well, gotta have a full-time job to pay for the business until the business can stand on its own.
Exactly, and I know God's giving you a lot of opportunities because you talked about ministry. You've had a chance to minister to coworkers and to customers and everything. So there's a lot more to Mike and Redeemer Wear than just a T-shirt, isn't there?
Oh, there's a lot more. There's pretty much any opportunity I get to discuss Jesus or how I feel about Jesus and what Jesus has done in our life, then I have to take that opportunity wherever it's presented.
Well, this leads me to my next question. For all the listeners out there, what is it you would want to tell them about Redeemer Wear, and what is it you would want to tell them about Christ?
First off, speaking of Christ, from where Redeemer Wear came from, Christ was my source of healing. Like I said, I've gone through what no man should ever have to face, and that's the loss of a child. And if it wasn't for Christ and Christ's love and that constant hand on my shoulder, I wouldn't survive. So whatever anybody's going through, if they just lay into putting all their hopes and their pain into Christ, He can help heal their heart, guaranteed.
Well, that's just amazing, how God takes a bad situation where you seem to not really have all the answers, and God starts, taking the broken pieces of your heart and your mind and starts, putting it together through faith and action. And you've stepped out on faith with Redeemer Wear several times. I know there were times that you thought, I don't know how this is going to go on, and then God would do something amazing, and give you the strength to carry on, or someone would buy a shirt. For all intents and purposes, as a full-fledged business, Redeemer Wear, technically by all happenings in normal business, should not still exist. Exactly. But the Lord's keeping it floating for now until we can find the support that we need to keep it running. Okay. So we are looking for, if anybody wants to contribute, make any donations to the growth and survival of Redeemer Wear, they can make their donations on the Contact Us page of the website, which I'm sure you'll give to listeners. But we are looking for people to donate video equipment, video editing software, anything they can possibly donate to help get the ministry boosted up, and so we can start going to some of these Christian heavy metal concerts, so people can actually see a world that most of them probably don't even know exists, and that's a world where heavy metal music and Christian ministry unite into one force. Mm-hmm. And I mean, here in Ohio we have Radio U, so it's something that it's a mainstream thing, and then go in other states and it's only online or everything else like that. And I know in the Atlanta, Georgia area, there's a need for it. I've been in Georgia. I walked the streets of Atlanta, and I know that there's a dying breed of people out there that aren't saved, and then there's a raging force of Christians that are needing a fix of the kind of music and the kind of lifestyle. And I believe putting a Redeemer Wear t-shirt on and getting connected to the type of music you like, God can still reach you in spite of who you are or what you like. It doesn't. There's no respecter to anything. God loves everybody. And the whole mission is pretty much like the Apostle Paul said when he said he'll go to anybody as he needs to reach them. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately for me, heavy metal is what I've known. It's what I love. It's what I love only second to Christ and my wife. So I have to use what God gave me to reach whatever people I can. Okay, Mike, we're going to take a break, and then we'll return with more Redeemer Wear.